Good morning. Hello. Merry Christmas, first of all. I'm uploading this on Christmas Eve, so I hope you guys are getting lots of time with family and loved ones and maybe get to attend a Christmas Eve service. Those often are very wonderful services to attend, but I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to my weekly news discussion here. I wanted to talk about more topics, but we're just going to hit a couple big ones, and we're going to wrap this up. So I don't want this to be too long, so let's just get right into it. The big story is the Epstein files. At the risk of getting this video taken down right off the bat, I feel like I'm playing it pretty fast and loose with a lot of these topics. I know I use certain terms that are usually no-nos on YouTube. I talk about things that YouTube doesn't love. That's probably something I'm getting away with right now because I'm not known. I'm flying under the radar right now, but I'm going to have to be careful in the future. But yes, so if you guys weren't tracking, in November, there was the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which passed the House on the 18th, passed the Senate on the 19th, and later that day, President Trump went ahead and signed it into law. What that did is it forced... Sorry, this dude is driving around the parking lot, and he drives, like, right in front of my car. I don't know what the heck they're doing, if they're, like, watching me, eyeballing me. Yeah, I see you, dude. See you later. See you next lap. Maybe they're just out here doing practice driving. Anyways, so what this act did is it told the Attorney General that she had 30 days to release all files related to Jeffrey Epstein. And for lack of better terms, it has been a shit show. And I think, okay, so let me get the timeline real quick. So 30 days pass. On the 19th, we get the first batch. So it's not all coming out on the 19th. It didn't all come out on the 19th. It's all going to come out over a series of weeks, you know, kind of wave after wave. Well, we get the first batch on the 19th. And a fair bit of it, I've heard as much as 90% of it, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but a good portion of it is completely redacted. These are public files now, so you can go online and look them up. You have page after page of just a black block across the whole thing. Or you'll see maybe the title and then like everything blocked off. The only thing that was supposed to do was to protect potential victims, but it just looks horrible. And there's no way this is only protecting victims. There's no way. This has definitely got to be a... sorry, this dude is like... It's got to be some kid that's learning. Anyways. I'm getting distracted here. Well, it was weird. I thought he was going to like come out and talk to... It's not like a police car. I thought some dude was going to come out and have beef or something. It's just was weird. He drove up like right in front of my vehicle and then slowed down and then kept going. I was like, okay. Anyways, so all these redactions understandably have provoked everyone that has been waiting on this. Honestly, if you're surprised, you've not been paying attention, because I think I really had hopes for this administration. They started off strong with pushing for transparency. They were trying to be the most transparent administration in history, and they made big promises, and unsurprisingly, they have not fulfilled all those promises. They started off well, but the Epstein thing has just been the biggest Achilles heel. I think the Department of Justice, Trump's current DOJ, is his biggest weakness right now. And Trump himself has said some stupid crap in regards to this thing. So, you get all these redactions. I saw this morning at the time of recording, so this is the 23rd right now that I'm recording this. There was some more that came out. So they gave a second batch, released a second batch. And I guess it has some mentions of Trump on the flight logs of Jeffrey Epstein's private jet. Which, I mean, we knew that they hung out at some point. So I don't know if it really says anything else more. Ghislaine Maxwell had her thing the other day, a while back, where she was absolutely glazing the president, saying, oh, he's completely innocent, and all the things that I saw, he never did anything wrong, which it's such an obvious, I don't want to use the word propaganda necessarily, but it was such an obvious move to try to make him look good, which just looks like everyone saw through that. She did it as part of a deal so she could get more comfortable, prison arrangements, whatever. But this whole thing has just been an absolute dumpster fire. Bondi is a disgrace and needs to resign. And I actually support... So one of the people involved now in this whole thing is Representative Thomas Massie from Kentucky. If you don't recognize who he is, he's a congressman in the U.S. House who Trump does not like very much. I am back and forth on this guy. Sometimes he seems like he's taking a good stance on something. Other times, I don't get what he's after at all. It just kind of depends on the day. He's someone that I feel like I'll work with when I can, but I'm not going to trust him to be consistently of the same mindset that I am. But him and Ro Khanna, the guy that produced this bill and started pushing it through Congress, are now working together to draw up articles of impeachment against Attorney General Pam Bondi. I think Trump needs to just save them the trouble and fire this broad. She is a friggin' disgrace. She is all talk, no game, no delivery. She just goes on dozens of Fox News interviews, talks tough game. I can't pull a name out of the top of my head of something significant she has done in the positive. She is all talk. I'm going to go after this person. We're going after these people. We're doing all this good stuff. I don't see it. Where are the arrests of these mayors and governors that continue to run sanctuary cities and states that are impeding ICE of their duties? Why has there not been a single mayor thrown in jail? Why has there not been a single governor arrested? This is what we voted for. They're sitting there watching me now. Hello? Anyways. They need to be prosecuting everyone that's on these files. Trump included. I want to say this now. If Donald Trump, if these files, once they're all released, actually give us good reason to believe that Trump really, truly was involved in the things that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, Trump was sleeping with underage girls and buying girls and all that stuff, I absolutely want his ass canned. I absolutely want his ass sitting in prison. The reason I don't think that's the case is because this last election cycle, we saw his opponents under the Biden administration throw absolutely everything they possibly could at this man. They had 4 court cases going on at the same time. One of those, that was the one that ultimately got him convicted, they were cutting all kinds of corners. They were ignoring statutes of limitations. They were rewriting laws and regulations to make and charging him and upgrading charges that had never been done before in New York State history in order to get Trump. So, and what is supposed to be the requirement for the falsification of business records, which is what they got him on, for that to be upgraded from a misdemeanor to a felony, there's supposed to be an underlying crime, another crime that they are convicted of that is connected to why he falsified those business records. They did no such thing. He was not convicted of any other crimes, yet they still convicted him on felony accounts. And it's just absurd. So all this stuff and considering how hyped they were for him to almost get sniped and all these things, you're going to tell me that those people that were trying everything they could, legally and otherwise, to stop Trump from getting back into office, that they wouldn't have used the ammo they had in the Epstein files against him. if it was really clear that he had done naughty things with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not buying it. I could be wrong, and I will happily admit, well, not happily, but I'll definitely admit in the future if it comes to light that he has been involved in that. But Pam Bondi, for whatever reason, he really likes this gal. I guess she's probably worked with him for a long time, and I guess he's loyal to her, and it is killing him. His DOJ sucks. They are just... Other parts of this administration are awesome. I love the Department of War. Pete Hegseth, I'm a big fan of. I like the Secretary. Marco Rubio, MVP. Most improved at least. Maybe not MVP, but he's definitely most improved player. I used to think he was just another run-of-the-mill neocon. Now I'm like, wow, Rubio's definitely one of the hitters. And of course, I love the jokes of him. Now he's getting another He's getting another job title. You know, they're going to just... Rubio just is the catch-all. Anytime someone loses their job, all right, well, who's going to fill this position? Well, Marco Rubio is now the acting secretary of whatever. And the memes are hilarious. But, yeah, so the Epstein thing has been handled so poorly by this administration. The Democrats are going to endlessly use this as ammo on their campaign trail this coming year. And they need to... Not just Bondi, but multiple people need to be losing their jobs because this is an atrocious performance. They need to be completely transparent, release everything. They need to take the files that have already been released, redacted, unredact them, and re-release them. That's what needs to happen. If you're going to build trust back with people, because right now you're not just tanking your own administration, you're tanking the chances of Republicans to hold the House. And then you need to follow up with prosecutions. These people that are being exposed with the release of these files that Pam Bondi said didn't exist. She went to all these song and dance, did the stupid binder thing, the phase 1 Epstein files thing, where she had the big influencers come in, they walk out with their binders of nothing burger, and never had a phase 2. She all of a sudden switched the story. Her and Kash Patel switched to the story of, oh, they don't actually exist. And even Trump was like, yeah, the Epstein thing is actually a hoax. Someone needs to get a hold of the president and just let him know, dude, you need to make a major course correction on this. Anyways, I'm rambling at this point. I hope she gets impeached. I want her to just be fired. She needs to tender her resignation to save just what tiny amount of face she has left. But Trump just needs to fire her. And if that's not going to be the case, she needs to be impeached and removed from office. Absolutely. This is just freaking disgraceful. And I'm tired of her giving us L's. We make ground on one side, and then here comes Pam Bondi to screw things up. Anyway, second and last story here. The U.S. House recently, this past week, passed a bill. I've seen some discussion. This was just like a pre-bill thing. It may not have even been the real bill. I don't know. But anyways, this bill passed to ban the transition, the hormone or the surgical transition of minors in the United States. To ban it. And to make it a crime. So it's not just being not allowed. It's now a crime, or it would be a crime if it made it all the way through Congress and was signed into law. Punishable with up to 10 years in prison if you violate it. For any provider that is caught doing this thing. This is phenomenal. This is the type of... Sadly, it doesn't have a lot of chance to pass the Senate because you need bipartisan support to overcome the filibuster, which... Nuke the filibuster. You need to listen to J.D. Vance on this. When he says we can't sit here and hand-wring over whether or not our opponents are going to do this to us when they get back in office. Because they're going to do it whether they're in office or not. They did all this stuff to silence conservatives on social media, to pursue their political rivals in court, not just Trump, but everyone connected to him. They do all this crap whether or not we provoke them or not. So you might as well use the power while you have it. So this is the kind of thing that these Republicans, and there were 4 on this bill who voted no. I'm going to put their names in the description. These are the scumbags that need to be primaried. If you're one of these 4, you're a piece of shit. You need to be primaried and remain out of politics for the rest of your life. Sorry, I know I'm using some language in this video, but I get worked up about this crap. I'm so sick. This is the stuff that won so much support. I feel like conservatives are worried that people are going to all of a sudden make them out to be the big villains. You're already the villains. If you start swinging that hammer when you have it in your hand, you're going to get support. This is an issue that there's a lot more support of than people think there is. All you do is you get a bunch of blue-haired freaking libs on Blue Sky losing their minds. You get the ACLU, the SPLC, and every barely concealed communist organization in this country freaking out about human rights violations because we're trying to protect kids from making irreversible decisions before they're fully done growing that they cannot ever take back. These hormones that sterilize them so they can never have children of their own, and these surgical procedures that maim them, that maims them and gets them hooked on healthcare. They become a lifelong customer because oftentimes there are complications that come with this, or even if there's not, it needs consistent care over a long period of time, if not a lifetime, to maintain this. And in the end, many of them regret it anyway. I won't get into a discussion of percentages. Some people said as high as 30% regret their decision. Some people say it's as low as like 1 or 2%. I don't know at the moment. But, and we have, from what I've seen, we have nothing to show for it. So you have all these things, all this experimental medicine that we're being told to trust the science. Do you want a living daughter or a dead son? I would rather not have a brainwashed child. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm losing track of things here. I'm getting all worked up. But so passes the House 216 to 211. I don't think it's hit the Senate yet. I think it's still in the works. But in addition to this, the Health Department, RFK, came out and said, we are also going to ban these procedures in hospitals. So not just is it being pushed through Congress to become law, and if this gets to the president's desk by some miracle, it gets through the Senate, the president needs to sign this extremely fast. This needs to become law so quickly. This is one of those life-changing, like completely paradigm-shifting type of laws here. And potential law, I should say. But the HHS under RFK has said they're also, whether or not this law is coming through, he's banning these procedures in hospitals. So they are no longer advised, they're no longer recommended, they're no longer allowed under HHS guidance. Thank God. So there's more than one angle of attack here. I don't know what kind of consequences. Probably you can withhold funding if they're violating that. I mean, it's not legally a crime at that point, but I don't know. Like I said, average Joe just gathering the headlines as best he can. So listen, I know there are a lot of people, some of you may even know people that go through this. I'm sure I've already lost you a long time ago. I don't hate trans people. If you are someone that's going through this, I don't hate you. I just think you need to be protected from certain irreversible measures until you are of at least legal adult age. At that point, much more of the world opens up to you. And if that's really the road you want to go down, okay. But a lot of these people, if they aren't sent down this pipeline of transitioning, they'd grow out of it. We're told that they go off and they kill themselves. That's not what happens. Usually what happens is they start going down this pipeline, they either regret their decisions or they, because they're like, oh man, what have I done? Or it's so rough because of all the infections and everything that is often what motivates them to end their lives. And I hate to see it. I guarantee you, each one of these Republicans, no matter how much they're demonized for it, they hate to see it. You, Christians, you hate to see it. You don't want this for these people. You want them to be healthy. You want them to be whole. You want them to learn to accept the bodies that God gave them, to align with the biology that they were entrusted with, that this is a gift, whether you were born male or you were born female. and that this is a gift and you can learn to accept it. Puberty is a weird time, okay? Like, we all think we're something we're not. We all don't know what's going on. And you know what? You grow out of it, okay? You can do, and if you're a Christian and you are pro-transition, I want you to prove to me how you're a Christian. That is insane to me on the level of supporting abortion. I'm lucky no one knows who I am yet, because I'm sure this video will eventually get taken down. But anyways, I've already rambled and shouted at my phone by myself in a parking lot. That guy finally left. Long enough, so I wanted to talk about Trump's big speech he did, where he kind of did a recap of the past year. There was some interesting stuff in there. I wanted to talk about Venezuela and all the fraud going on in Minnesota that is now being found in Ohio and also Colorado and probably every freaking blue state, and I'm sure some red states too. But there's a lot of fraud that is being connected to these immigrant communities that needs to come to an end, and deportations all around. And Pam Bondi needs to be making some freaking arrests, but we know we can't trust her. So anyways, deep breath, everybody. Deep breath. I'm aging early with freaking out like this, but God bless you guys. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I don't know if I'm going to be posting the political issue discussion this Friday, the voter issue video. We'll see. I might try to do something that's easier, that I don't need to dig as much in, because it's Christmas, y'all. So I really don't want to get in the habit of taking breaks, because I need to keep being consistent here. But that may be an exception just because it's Christmas, and it would require me to do a lot of prep before that. But anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.